Good news can often get overlooked or buried by the negative in our everyday lives. So let's change that. I'm Adriana.
And I'm Wyatt.
We're just two ordinary people without any special qualifications or anything trying to navigate life. We invite you to join us as we share wholesome stories, news articles of hope, and ideas of how we can all make the world just a little bit brighter. We are uplifting positive stories. Welcome back to another episode of Uplifting Positive Stories. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Excited to be here for another round of positivity.
Yeah, today's going to be fun because it's the stories of heroes. So
Zero to hero. Oh, I don't want to get copyrighted. I don't want to get copyrighted. It wasn't enough. We
like superheroes. We're pretty good big Marvel fans.
Yeah, but then I almost quoted a Disney song.
I mean, hey, Marvel's also by Disney, so
True.
We like all
but
of them.
Disney classic or Disney proper.
Yeah, Hercules. But yeah, what's your favorite? If you had to name one, your favorite Marvel movie of all time, what would you say? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Oh gosh. Okay, without putting too much thought into it, it's a tie between Avengers Endgame and Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's
a lot of good ones though, so
really good.
I don't know. It's hard to to pick one.
Yeah.
Now you have to answer as well.
I would also say it's probably a tie. I would say Avengers Endgame and maybe Iron Man. I really liked Iron Man. If we were counting the series, I would say like WandaVision and Loki. But out of just movies, I would say those are my favorite. But yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the stories today. Yeah, they're just really cool, really awesome stories where like this person is definitely a hero in this situation and went far above what they were called to do to really help somebody out or make a huge difference. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I'm excited. We're gonna start off on the subreddit Ask Reddit, and the question was, what is the nicest thing you've ever done that no one knows about? Which I feel like fits a lot with heroes, people not knowing,
Do they have secret identities?
Have secret identities and all
Do
that
they
kind
in
of
this story?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Well, I guess if no one knows about it, I guess kind of.
Fair.
Indirectly.
Fair. Here we go. I was day tripping to Vancouver from Seattle and I stopped in for lunch at a little cafe. From my window, I saw a young teenage girl out in the cold, squatted down in a closed-up business doorway, holding a small bundle in her arms. She was panhandling. People were mostly walking by, ignoring her. She looked just broken. I finished up my meal and went outside, went through my wallet, and thought I'd give her $5 for some food. I got up to her and she was sobbing. She looked like she was 14 to 15 years old. And that bundle in her arms was a baby wrapped up. I felt like I just got punched in the chest. She looked up, putting on a game face, and asked for any change. I asked her if she'd like some lunch. Right next door was a small, quick trip type grocery store. I got a can of formula for the baby, very young, maybe 2 to 3 months old, and took her back to the cafe, though I'd just eaten. She was very thankful, got a burger, and just inhaled it. Got her some pie and ice cream. She opened up and we talked. She was 15, got pregnant, parents were angry and she was fighting with them and she'd ran away. She's been gone almost a full year. I asked her if she'd like to go home and she got silent. I coaxed her. She said her parents wouldn't want her back. I coaxed further. She admitted she stole $5,000 in cash from her dad. Turns out $5,000 doesn't last long at all. And the streets are tough on a 15-year-old. Very tough.
I imagine.
Yeah. She did want to go back, but she was afraid no one wanted her back after what she did. We talked more. I wanted her to use my phone to call home, but she wouldn't. I told her I'd call and see if her folks wanted to talk to her. She hesitated and gave bad excuses, but eventually she agreed. She dialed the number and I took the phone. Her mom picked up and I said hello. Awkwardly introduced myself and said her daughter would like to speak to her. Silence and I hear crying. Gave the phone to the girl and she was just quietly listening to her mom cry and then said hello. And she cried. They talked. She gave the phone back to me. I talked to her mom some more. I drove her down to the bus station and I bought her a bus ticket home. Gave her $100 cash for incidentals and some formula, diapers, wipes, snacks for the road. Got to the bus and she just cried, saying thank you over and over. I gave her a kiss on the forehead and a hug, kissed her baby, and she got on the bus. I get a Christmas card every year from her. She's 21 now and in college. Her name is Michaela and her baby was Joe. I've never really told anyone about this. I just feel good knowing I did something good in this world. Maybe it'll make up for the things I've screwed up. Wow, right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that long breath was all
I know.
sums it up.
Like,
Jeez.
wow. What a heavy situation to
Not a dry eye
be
here.
in. I know. But that this person went so far above and beyond, gave her money, gave her a big meal, then went and called her parents and helped her
Mediated an
mediate the
emotionally
situation
awkward
after a
situation.
year of her being away from them, and then got her a bus ticket, bought her things for incidentals to get her home and formula for the baby. Like, wow. Wow. What an awesome person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that this is the first time it sounds like they've told anybody this story, and it's on some random thread on Reddit. Crazy, right?
Their superhero name is the Negotiator.
The Negotiator.
I don't know, or something like that.
Yeah. Really cool though, right? That this person did that. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man.
just. I don't know how to begin to dissect that, so I don't know if I should dissect
words
that.
can't really convey how wow that story is.
There's a lot of tragedy involved with that in terms of the relationship tragedy, and then I imagine swallowing of pride to a certain extent, on both sides, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, that's rough, especially because you got to figure, like, what do you think the odds are that, she gave birth to that baby on the street potentially?
Mm-hmm. Right? You never know.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
It's lucky that she's, made it as long as she did.
Yeah.
And the baby's doing good.
Right.
That's scary. That's hard.
Yeah. But the fact that, had he not done that, or he or she, I guess I don't know if it's a he or she, but had they not done that for her, who knows where she would have ended up. And she ended up, it's crazy, 21 and in college and stuff like that. Like, wow, to go like a complete 180 from where she was there living on the streets and stuff to then being at home with her parents again and in college.
I think we hear that a lot in terms of homelessness. Like, if someone actually is given like a full-blown chance and opportunity to escape it, that they're able to find success for themselves, and in this case success for their child as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
not always, but it seems like whenever the stories we find go that direction.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a story.
Yeah, that's
this
a
next one
story.
is a little more lighthearted. And it is from the subreddit Tales from Retail, and it is titled, "That Time I Got to See Captain America Save the Day."
All right. That story you teased from before.
Yeah, here we go. I used to work retail at a mom and pop costume store. We had this family who were regular customers and would come in every year and pick out a themed Halloween costume as a family. This particular year, they said the theme was the Avengers.
All right.
They have a son who was about 4 or 5 at the time. He chose to be Captain America, and they picked out his costume first. A little while later, he comes running back up to the cash wrap in full costume, brandishing a phone. He told me he had found it on the floor and he had to protect it because phones are very important. He asked me if I could help him find who it belonged to. So I made an announcement asking if anybody was missing a phone, but to no avail. At that point, I asked him to give me the phone and told him I would hold on to it until someone came back for it. He looked at me skeptically and flat out refused to hand it over at first. He explained to me how phones have all kinds of important things on them and they are not toys. I had to give him my solemn word that I would take good care of the phone before he'd hand it over. I sent him back to his parents after that.
He's like, how do I know you're not secretly a Hydra agent or something, and you're not actually an agent of chaos, evil agent of Red Skull or something, I don't know.
About 10 minutes later, the phone started ringing and I noticed that the screen said home, so I answered it. It was, of course, the customer looking for her phone. I told her where she could find it and that I'd held on to it for her. Another 15 minutes or so after, that woman came into the store asking for her phone. I asked if she was in a hurry. She looked a little confused, but said that she wasn't, so I asked her to hold on for just a moment. I went back and I found the little Captain America still in costume because once you get a little kid into them, it's impossible to get them out again. And I asked him if he would like to return the phone to its owner. He gleefully said yes. So I handed him the phone and we walked back up front together. He presented the woman with her phone and explained to her that he'd found it and taken good care of it because he knew how important phones were. The woman thanked him profusely. He gave her a sharp salute and then ran off back to his parents. At this point, the woman turned to me and said, "That might be the cutest thing I've ever seen. Seriously, you don't know how much I needed that. It's been a day." I told her it was no problem and I was glad she got her phone back.
To say, like, it almost makes you thankful that you lost your phone to be able to experience such a cute moment.
Cute moment.
Not all heroes wear capes, but they sometimes carry shields.
Exactly. And they might be 4 years old.
Right.
So super.
He took that job seriously.
He did. He did.
He didn't just hand that phone to anybody.
No, he had to vet them first.
Mm-hmm.
So cute. All right, on to our next post here. This one comes from the subreddit Benign in Existence, and it is titled, I won 900 tickets for a random kid at the arcade last night. Here we go.
Depending on the arcade, that's either a lot or kind of middling.
Don't know. Hi all. My wife and I had date night last night and decided to be kids again and go to an arcade. Well, we loaded up $50 on a play card and went ham. One of the machines we played was a claw game where you can pluck out giant rolls of tickets if you're lucky. There was a family besides the machine talking and taking a break from gaming. I loaded money into the machine and saw a juicy 900 ticket roll waiting to be plucked. My wife tried to get it and failed. I tried to get it and failed, and the kid noticed. She turned around and pressed her hands and face to the glass, staring at the ticket roll. Then she looked at me and started guiding the claw by pointing this way and that for me to move the claw. When she was satisfied, she gave me the thumbs up, and I hit the button. Surprisingly, the claw grabbed the roll. It hoisted it up, and I was internally sweating the whole time, lol. The kid looked so excited. I could see it in her wide eyes and huge smile. The claw drops the roll into the slot. Success. And I knew what I had to do. I took the roll out of the machine, turned to the kid, and without speaking, gave it to her. Her face lit up like a Christmas tree. Just pure excitement and wonder. She took the roll, and for a second, I thought she was going to cry. But then she runs up to me and gives me a big, tight hug. Then she runs over to her dad, who looked at me and said, "You don't have to do that." I just shrugged and said, "I want to." And then my wife and I walked off to play more games. I made that kid's night, and she made mine. I hadn't realized it, but I haven't seen such innocent wonder and pure surprised joy in so long that this touched my very core with goodness. Even typing this out makes me tear up. That kid just seemed so happy. Maybe the world isn't so bad. Maybe the kids are all right. Thanks for reading. To which someone commented, "See, I don't want the crap prizes from the games. Just playing them is the reward. But kids, they want the prizes. And now you've gone down in her lifetime lore as the stranger who just gave her 900 tickets to unlock the joy of crap prizes from the arcade." True, though.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we go to the arcade like Dave and Buster sometimes. The prizes, you could just buy them for
way less.
Significantly cheaper, though there's something satisfying about like earning it. But it's more so about playing the games for us. Or in this case, honestly, making a memory.
Yeah,
and making some kid's day.
Yeah, I remember there was one time, it wasn't nearly to this extent, but we'd been playing a bunch of games. It was like the Wisconsin Dells, which is like this water park that has like an arcade inside of it. And we'd been playing a bunch of arcade games, and I remember we won like a Deal or No Deal one arcade game, and we won the jackpot. It was the first time ever we won the jackpot. And then we looked at all the prizes. We were like, whoa, holy cow, we got so many tickets. And then we went and looked at the prizes, and we were like, I don't know, none of this is really speaking to me that much. You? And he was like, no. And we were like, well, we could save them, I guess, and come back and play a different day or something for something better. And then we saw like there was a mom with some kids, and we gave it to the mom. We're like, do you want to give this for the kids? Is it okay if we give this to your kids to get something? And she was like, oh, you don't have to do that. We're like, yeah, no, just take it. And then they were able to get a lot better prizes than I think they probably would have been able to before. It looked like so. Yeah, it was
and
cool.
You unlocked a memory for me. I didn't remember,
you didn't remember that.
No.
Yeah, it was like
so
early when we were dating.
I mean, that would have been like 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, it was really
8 or 9 years ago.
It was really cute. But yeah, so it's just fun. Like, yeah, if you have the ability to, and you have a bunch of tickets and stuff, and you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Yeah, just give it to a kid. It will be so super.
Side note, I miss physical tickets.
Yeah, me too.
It's way more satisfying. They come out of the machine.
When you watch it, like
versus just load it on a card, which I know is convenient, but that's something cool about like having like the stacks of tickets.
Stack of tickets,
and even like. You know, it's not that old school, but having like the machine that you like putting
a
up
ticket feeder,
and it just takes it up, and then like there's
you see the number spinning, getting higher and higher. Yeah, that was fun. Because there is something to be said that like when it starts spitting out all those tickets when you won the jackpot, it was as a kid, it was like, holy cow, this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And then it becomes more of a spectacle. Like everyone around's like, whoa, look how many tickets that person's winning right now. You know, that excitement.
It's a feeling they try to capture in casinos sometimes.
Where all the lights go off.
But they go too far, where it's like, one time we did the slot machine, we swear based on how it was reacting, we won the jackpot.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like $10.
All the screens went completely crazy. The lights on the top started spinning, and like, we were like, we thought we hit it big. We must have hit the jackpot. This is so exciting. And then it finally we like got the point value, and we looked up how much it was.
Something. Maybe 20.
Yeah, it was 20.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well,
if
I don't know what the gauge for what actual jackpot looks like.
It's not like the arcade for adults.
Got
like a foghorn that plays over the thing. No. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah. On to our next story. This one comes from the subreddit Random Acts of Kindness, and it is titled, My Mom Was So Much Kinder Than I Knew, and That Says a Lot. This one is like, I don't know, it just really blew me away. It's pretty cool. All right, here we go. When I was a kid, I went to a very expensive private school. Most of the families were very wealthy, but some were barely scraping by to afford the tuition, and some were on scholarships in families that could barely afford rent. My family was one of the fairly well-off ones. The school also had field trips. Some were just $5 to $10, but some were $50 to $100 per kid, none covered by scholarships. An old teacher of mine heard my mom pass 4 years ago. She called me today. She'd just found my number through other people. She told me about how my mom would show up to the office on field trip days for mine and my sister's classes. She'd ask for the teacher, and then she'd ask how many kids were staying behind because they couldn't pay, and then she'd cover their fees. She'd also have the teachers call her if a parent couldn't afford school supplies or a required book, and she'd buy it and have the teacher give it to them privately. If a birthday was coming up and the parents hadn't said they were sending cake, school required 2 or more days' notice, she had the teacher email her the night before. We lived in a building that had a grocery store with a good bakery, so she'd pick up cupcakes for the kid in the morning and drop them off at the school. She'd always told me that parents ordered them and asked her to pick them up. I know that's along the lines of giving out money, but it wasn't about the money for her. She told the teachers it was so no kid would feel left out, because she was always the financially excluded child growing up and knew how it could negatively impact their education. Yeah.
Yeah, finances are tricky when it comes to kids and how it impacts them because they can't control that.
Yeah, right.
They have no choice in the matter.
Being left out, not having cupcakes when every other kid is having cupcakes for their birthday, not being able to go on a cool field trip that their friends are excited to go on because they can't afford it. Like, yeah, that's rough when you're a kid. Yeah. And so that just going that extra mile, being like, hey, if a parent doesn't email you telling you they're bringing in cupcakes, tell me and I'll send cupcakes. And also keeping it a secret from their own kids so that no one knows that it's a charity. You know what I mean? That this kid didn't have their parents send it, you know? No one knew until after she'd passed that she'd been doing that for people. And I mean, you think if some of the field trips were like $50 to $100 a kid and she's doing this consistently for paying their scholarships, that's a lot of money. And the fact that she went out of her way to do that for them so they wouldn't feel left out, I don't know, just in so many ways, that's so cool. And to have that come out after the fact where your parent passes and that they were doing all these amazing things, I don't know, I just think that's so cool that this teacher went out of the way to let her know that her mom had done those things, because that's super cool.
See, it's reaffirming my earlier statement. I can't remember if it was this episode or the previous episode that teachers, we don't deserve them. And they don't get enough credit or money or anything.
Also
Thanks.
Moms, like this
lots of
mom,
stuff.
Wow. Just, that's super,
the good
super
teachers
cool.
deserve more.
Agreed. So yeah, I thought that was a neat story. On to our news article for today. This one comes from the Huffington Post UK, and it is titled, If You Struggle to Trust Strangers, This Report May Give You Some Hope. There was a study done by the World Happiness Report that...
What is that?
So apparently they do it every year, it sounds like.
Who's they?
The World Happiness Report.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. So basically what they do, they're researchers in the UK, and they basically go out and they study to try to find like what the happiest country in the world is. I don't know if you've heard that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
It's usually Finland or somewhere in like the Nordic countries.
North.
This most recent one they found, it was Finland was the most happy country in the world. But they looked into other areas in terms of happiness and studying that and stuff. And one of the ones that they did was they had researchers deliberately lose their wallets to see how many times they would be handed back to the person.
That's a fun little experiment.
Yeah. And what they found, to quote the article, is that the number of wallets returned was almost twice as high as the people around the world had predicted. So that's really cool. They also said that the study also found that belief in the kindness of others was more closely tied to overall happiness than previously thought. So just the belief that that people are kind, that others are kind, was a huge indicator of whether you were overall happy with your own life. Interesting, right?
I mean, that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Well, because it all kind of lays into like trust and safety, you know? Like if you were to have a bag sit down, like do you trust that someone's not going to steal it right away?
Right. If you're just trusting of people. Yeah, how that would impact you on a day-to-day basis.
Like I always loved when I was in like martial arts, going to tournaments and stuff. Karate tournaments was always like the one place where everyone kind of left their bags everywhere and no one ever touched them. I was just like one of those trusted places. And then I thought I was kept in my head every once in a while, like, man, someone just walk there and just steal all this stuff, but it didn't happen. At least not the ones I went to or that I experienced.
Yeah, That makes sense. I feel like it's more of an anomaly that things get stolen than not, you know? But we're always, the ones that, when it does get stolen, that stands out more than the times that it doesn't, you know? That's so you often hear about the ones that get stolen, but you don't hear about the times that, you know, things are just left out and people either hand it back to somebody or leave it alone, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, they also found that sharing meals with others was strongly linked with well-being across the globe. To quote the article,
like other strangers or just others in general?
Just others in general.
Okay.
So it says those who share more meals with others report significantly higher levels of life satisfaction and positive effect and lower levels of negative effect. This is true across ages, genders, countries, cultures, and regions.
I suppose that contributes to like combating a feeling of isolation and such, you know?
Yeah, really interesting. So then I went through and I actually pulled up the World Happiness Report itself because this was an article about that. I found the actual report itself and I just highlighted a few things that stood out to me that I thought were interesting. So this is interesting. In 2024, helping strangers remains significantly higher than in 2017 through 2019 in all global regions by a global average of 18%. So 18% more help than what was reported in 2019, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. It's just cool to see that, you know, the world is going in a positive direction. Like, it just, again, we might not feel like
in
it.
some ways, maybe by the terms of like the everyday person and how we interact with each other, not necessarily like politics or all those like bigger than life things, you know,
but
that we see
overall,
in the
people
news.
are more helpful, it sounds like. Another thing, so a couple other findings. People are too pessimistic about the kindness of their communities. The return rate of lost wallets is much higher than people expect, especially in the Nordic countries, which have the highest rates of both expected and actual wallet returns. Engaging in benevolent acts and expecting kindness from others both matter for individual happiness levels. This is interesting. The effect of expected wallet return is almost twice as large as for the frequency of benevolent acts. So basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's the effect of expecting others to actually return the wallet, the expectation that they would, if you believe that, has more, almost double the effect as if you actually just had the wallet returned to the person. So in terms of their happiness level. So the expectation that others are helpful is more impactful than actually having the wallet returned to them.
I mean, I guess you don't really think about it, but I guess that kind of sparing you from the agony of like wondering where it is. Oh no, it's gone forever. What do I do if it's gone? Oh gosh, I want to replace my IDs and all this, this and that. I make so many calls. Oh my gosh, like if you eliminate all that thought,
yeah,
that probably saves you. Versus like even if you get the relief of getting it back, you still went through that hour
experience.
or so period of time of like dooms, like going through your head of this, all the doom and the gloom of the situation and what you do if you can't find it.
Right. But yeah, if I'm understanding that correctly, I just think it's very interesting. It just kind of shows that we gotta try our best to believe in the good in people, which we've had an episode about that because apparently that has a huge impact on our overall happiness levels in life. Hopefully hearing these stories hopefully helps you to see that there are good people out there and there's helpful heroes out there every day, whether it takes the form of a 4-year-old wearing a Captain America costume in a retail store trying to return a lost phone to someone, or it's somebody that helps a 14-year-old girl with a baby get back to her family and safe and sound and with food and formula and all the things she needs and goes out of their way to do that for them. So like heroes take all forms, but they are out there. Heroes are everywhere. And so, yeah, just everyday heroes and believing that that the world is good and that most people want to help. So
everyone's got a little bit of hero in them if they only allow it and search for it.
Exactly.
Act upon your inner heroism.
Exactly. But yeah. With that, we will end today's podcast episode. Tune in next week for our next episode. Our next episode is called Faith and Humanity 2, Part 2. So we've done an episode like this before where we have just simple stories where faith and humanity restored. And hopefully, again, more examples of good out there, good people to kind of get all of our mindsets that the world is good and increase our happiness across the board too. So yeah, next week's episode will be great. If you have a positive story that you would like to share with everybody, we would love to hear it and spread that out there. You can send it to us at upliftingpositivestories@gmail.com, or you can post them to our subreddit, which is Uplift Positive Stories.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button or leave a comment. Share it around.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
And stay positive.